touch on this of unmet needs.
Every couple has got its own unique approach to what they call love.
Welcome to On Your Life talk show with Coach Mamaline.
My God is a consuming fire. He sets me on fire. I am fire. Minister of flames. My God is a consuming fire. He sets me on fire.
Greetings, viewers and listeners, and welcome back to On Your Life talk show, the pulpit beyond the pulpit. Apologies for starting late. It was due to a few technical issues that we had to deal with. Apologies once again. So On Your Life, I think you know by now, we call it the pulpit beyond the pulpit because we interrogate and delve deep into issues that are rarely, if at all, talked about in the four corners of our churches. And today we are continuing with the series that we started last week, where we are going by the theme Hidden Faces of Grief, where we are looking at issues to do with infertility, pregnancy, and infant loss. So today we want to talk about this issue on another perspective. We want to look at issues that are cultural and religious, and how these approaches affect the issue to do with infertility, pregnancy, and infant loss. So without wasting much of your time, allow me to introduce my guest today. So we have back in the studio again, Florence Cheke. She is a pregnancy and infant loss advocate whose passion is driven by the need to bring awareness to this issue, as well as campaign against the Do Not Mourn taboo. She is co-founder of Family of Hope Trust, an organization that offers bereavement support to grieving families post-pregnancy and infant loss. She herself is a mother of 4, 2 are rainbow babies, whom she had in between 2 losses, a miscarriage at 8 weeks, and a stillbirth at 35 weeks. Welcome, Florence, and once again.
Thank you, Coach Lynn. Hello, viewers. Welcome.
Thank you. Another man who is no longer a stranger to the On Your Life family, my father in the Lord, Prophet Godwin Mahlahla. He is married with 5 kids. He is an educationist with over 3 decades of experience. He is the founder of Providence Ministries International and the principal of Redeeming the Nations Bible Institute. He is an entrepreneur, marriage counselor, and author. Welcome, Prophet.
Greetings, everyone. It's good to be back. How are you, Mamaline?
I'm fine, sir. I'm fine. We also have Gogo Beta Kuveya. She is a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 9. And I think she looks young for 69. She's 69 years, by the way. She is a retired veteran nurse with 40 years experience under her belt. After retirement, she went into full-time horticulture farming in Norton, as well as serving in the ndministry. She is an intercessor under the Catholic Intercessors of Zimbabwe and Africa. Gogotino kugamchirai.
Ndinokutendai vakateerera, ndinokutenda Mama Lynn.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, we have our doctor, our gynecologist, Dr. Mrs. Abigail Jemete, who is a specialist gynecologist and obstetrician. Welcome, Doc.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So let's get into the issue. So what we really want to talk about today is a result of issues that came from our first conversation. I think Florence can attest to it, where we then realized that this issue, your infant loss, the way it's dealt with or not dealt with within our societies, within our families, within our communities, and especially within our churches, leaves a lot to be desired. So there seems to be certain issues that, especially the women, the couples that are going through infertility, that are going through pregnancy loss and infant loss, are really struggling to deal with. So I think first of all, I'll start with you, Prophet Mashasha, because Mr. Heavens Munyuki, who is an infertility specialist, he explained to us that within the medical fraternity, for one or for a couple to be certified infertile, it is because they've been having frequent unprotected sex for over a year. So if there is no child within those 12 months, then a couple, either the male or the female, or both of them, can be certified infertile. And he further went on to say, statistics say that 30% is usually the male, 30% female, and then other factors. So I want to know, as a spiritual practitioner, how do you determine that this couple is infertile? Kana kuti this couple is having miscarriages because mweya madzinza, mweya yetsvina. Please help us there, sir.
We don't want to dispute the medical expertise,
Yes, sir.
in what they say. I would want to also say this to every spiritual practitioner. If you have not heard from God, and I've said this once and once again, if you have not heard from God, don't go and make a prescription.
Okay.
Because you damage relationships, you damage communities. By the way, people trust us as spiritual practitioners. So whatever advice we give them, it has got to be very accurate and very scientific and very well informed. But on the other dimension, we don't want to write off God.
Yes.
In my few years of praying for people with miscarriages, with infertility issues, I have had cases where people have been medically certified infertile by doctors. They have come to me for counseling. I've said I don't dispute what the doctor has said, but let's try prayer. And I have prayed, and God has intervened and answered. So, but I've also had cases where we have prayed and God, I wouldn't say has not answered, but there have been no results.
Okay.
No children have been born. So it's a win-win situation. But my faith tells me that we can't write off God.
Okay.
Because of, I would say, 80% of the couples I have prayed for and prayed with have had children, even though they have been certified infertile.
Okay.
So my perspective is, let's not write off God, but let's have faith which is practical.
Okay.
If God has not shown you, don't promise anything. Sometimes I just say, let me pray without promising, and prayer has yielded results.
Okay. All right. That's a very interesting perspective. We are going to come back to that spiritual aspect. Doc, from a medical point of view, are there cases of infertility, pregnancy, and infant loss that science itself cannot explain, don't have answers for? And in those circumstances, what is your recommendation to a couple?
Sorry, you were breaking a bit. I missed part of the questions.
I'm saying from a medical point of view, are there cases where you cannot explain medically why a couple is failing to conceive, or why a couple is having miscarriages and stillbirth? And in those cases, what are your recommendations from a medical perspective?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. Like you alluded to earlier, you indicated that 30% of the problems are paternal, the other 30% are maternal, 30% is combination. We still have 10% of unknown cause, unexplained subfertility. It's a medical phenomena. When delving deep into that, you may realize that maybe there's conjugal separation, couples are not staying together, or even if they are staying together, they are not having conjugal duties as often as they should.
Okay.
Personally, how I counsel my patients, I use Isaiah 46, verse 8, B to 10, which says, God does everything with his predeterminate knowledge. He is God who created heaven and earth. He does everything according to his will. If it is his will, time will tell. Remember, 85% of couples will be able to conceive in the first 12 months.
All
Of the
right.
15% that remains, 7.5 will conceive by end of second year. But you see some couples going all the way to 10 years, no problems whatsoever. Everything is perfect. They are just not getting pregnant. After 10 years, 14 years, you see a couple conceive.
All right.
So we tell them it's God's time. We do our best and we leave everything to the Almighty.
Powerful. Back to you, Prophet. Is there, I'll also throw this back to Doc again before I engage the other guests. Is there a relationship between spirituality and medical science, or they are two different spectrums? And also, have there been cases where medical science has clashed with church practices on this issue?
Let me try to answer the last question first.
All right.
We have had a lot of incidences where medicine and spirituality have clashed.
Okay.
I'll give wild examples where a prophet, a pastor, a man of God will say a person is HIV negative. He has declared them. And those people withdraw from taking any form of medication.
Okay.
And when they go back to the hospital after deterioration of their health, they get tested and it is realized that they withdrew from taking medication.
Okay.
And when you trace back the history, the scenario, you hear that a certain man, woman of God has advised them to stop taking medication. That's the first clash.
They'll be saying they've heard from God.
Yeah, it's not saying, it's claiming.
Okay.
There's a difference.
There's
It's
a
claiming.
difference. Okay.
So then the second scenario is one which I have already alluded to. I will talk first of clash between religion and religion. There is a lady whom I prayed for. She now is a mother of 4, 2 sets of twins. In the morning, a certain person of God had said, you can't conceive because of certain reasons. In the evening, I met this certain lady, greeted her as a mother of twins. We prayed, 2 boys were born. We prayed again, 2 girls were born. She's now a mother of 4. But a certain woman of God or man of God had said, you can't conceive. Then I also mentioned earlier that there have been cases where medicine has said a person cannot conceive. But I'm happy that Doc has mentioned that after all has been said and done, we have tested everything, the sperm count and everything we have tested. We then leave everything to the Almighty.
Oh, yes.
Because at the end of the day, medical practitioners are limited in their perspective. Just like us men of God, we are also limited because scripture says we prophesy in part and we know in part. So there have been clashes, but I would say these clashes come from a perspective of misinformation.
Okay.
Because I, for one, subscribe to medicine a lot. I go to pharmacies, I go to the hospital to have checkups and so on. I want to be checked as an individual because I know God will allow me to do that. Unless if God has specifically said to me, don't go, then I will not go.
Okay.
Because I understand how I hear from God. But the reason why people clash in this perspective is because they don't have information. Some claim to have heard from God. By the way, those people, some who claim to have heard from God, do not necessarily accurately hear there from. Some of them just hear their desires, their wishes.
Okay.
And it becomes a prophecy, it becomes a word of knowledge, it becomes a word of wisdom. This is so unfortunate in our generation that people have been misled, they have been beaten home and away because of these scenarios. So I would say yes, there have been clashes. But these clashes can only be solved if we hear from God. I believe in seeking the face of God, consulting God every step of the way, inquiring from God, and acting according to his instruction. That is the whole essence of faith.
Wow. Doc, do you have anything to add on that one?
Yes. From our perspective, indeed, we've had challenges. People believe people that they know. So if we are seeing a client with problems, health problems, They've got their men of God in the background. They've got their beliefs in the background. We've actually realized that in a way, these men of God or the church leaders, sometimes they help, depending on the faith of the patient, to give them calm. Because another contributor to subfertility and some of these medical complications is just stress hormones, which will stop ovulation, and these problems perpetuate. So when they go to churches and they are encouraged with their level of faith, some will end up even conceiving before you do any intervention there. However, sometimes some churches, different churches, will then discourage and will scare people. So instead of helping, people will be scared either from the church aspect or other con men of God who will then scare people, especially nenyaya dzemasare dzinouraya vana, dzinodya vana, even if you are not seeing anything. And yet those are just myths by con men looking at extorting desperate women, because sometimes women become desperate because they're always the ones blamed for subfertility or for losses, unfortunately. And some people will pry on their desperation. So yes, sometimes it helps and sometimes it doesn't help.
Wow.
And then on the question of spirituality and healing, Deuteronomy 32 will help us answer that. 39, it says clearly that God heals. It is
Yes.
God who we treat, but the healing God does.
Wow, powerful. And in a dog, we treat, but God is the one who does the healing, whether it's laying on of hands by Prophet Mahlahla, whether it's prescription by our gynecologist. At the end of the day, the one who heals is God. Go, I'm back to you. Tauya kwamuri.
Okay.
Pane nyaya yataurwa nadhoko yemasari. How does our culture deal ne-issue iri kutaurika ye-infertility, ye-miscarriage, yema-stillbirth? Because nyaya yemasare iyi tiri kuinzwa kakanyanya, nyaya yemasare, nyaya yekuchikwa, nyaya dzekunzi hanzi mwana mucheche hachemwe. Can you help us ipapapa? Clarify, zvinombofamba sei? What does our culture say?
Culture yedu inoti inobvuma kuti masare anoita kuti munhu asaite vana.
Okay.
Vaitonyanyozvitarisa zvakanyanya kana munhu achinge awanikwa zviye, vanhu vanotarisira kuti achaita pane zviri kuitika here, aane pamiri, aane chii, but vaona kuti hapana necertain time yavaifunga, vaizoda kutsvagurudza kuona kuti chiri kutadzisa kuti mwanasikana uyu ave nepamiri chii. Ende kazhinji munhu anonzi haasi kukwanisa kuita mwana mudzimai, varume vaingonzi zvavo zviri right. Saka masaro inini nokushanda kwandikazoita, ndakaona kuti atoti masara anouya due to stress, due to body beauty yemunhu zvake akakura, kana kuti ari kukurisa, ari kufutisa, kana kuti ari kudii, zvaiitika zvinhu izvi. Asi hazvisiri izvo zvinochokuita manje nokuitwa kwemwana. Asi pamusana pokuti zvaizoti kana zvabviswa, handiti zvoita kumwe ndezvakonze munhu anoita relief mupfungwa dzake kuti apaka zvanga zvichinzi zviri kunditadzisa kuita mwana zvabva. So kutaura kwaita chiremba kuti mastresses anokonzeresa, because ukangoshaita mimba panguva inofungidzirwa, niwangu uchifungidzirwa iwewe pachazvako, you begin to be stressed. And kana watanga kustressa wakuita njiyati waane wari, that causes kusazobata kwenhumbu yacho. Saka naazobviswa sare risinei zvaro naizvo zvikai raonzwa nestress nenjiyati nechi, robviswa, there is some relief inouya mumunhu obvaita nhumbu. Saka I wouldn't blame them for thinking kuti Sare was responsible. As we went on tichishanda, ndatanga kusenza 1974.
Yes.
Zvainetsa kuti vanhu tinyatsovaudza, taverengawo mabhuku, toona kuti zvinhu izvi hazvinei nekusazvara kwemunhu, but mazuva iwo zvainetsa, but iye zvinezvi zvanga zvazvinhu zviri kunzwika nevanhu kuti no chinhu chachina basa izvi. I think zvine basa ndezvakati zvakati zvakati.
All right.
At the same time kuita mwana nokusaita mwana zvese zviri mumaoko aMwari. Zvinova ndiro rimwe dambudziko ratinaro. Tunoenda kuchechi, tonzwa zvekuchechi, tonzwa vafundisa vachiparidza, hazvipinde matiri because kana ndisina mwana futi chimwe chinhu chinoitika ndechekuti even muchechi imomo vanhu vanenge vachitakaneka ukwenyana kuti uyu akachata kudhara uchiko chikumboitika naye. Unotanga kudzokera kumashure panyaya dzefaith uchikonzereswa nevamwe vako vari muchechi imomo. Wototadza futi kuzoenda kuchechi because nyaya iripo kuna Mwari ine chokuita nokutendera kuti Mwari ndiye akakusika iwe, ende shoko raMwari rinoti munhu achava nechibereko chinova nevana chete. Harina kutitaurira zvekuzoti hauiti ende kana watadza wazotadziswa nei. Saka izvozvozvo zvemasare zviripo, but iye zvino ndinotendera pandazosvikawo kuregera basa 2014 zvanga zvaanani vanhu vasisanyanyotendera mazviri kuti zvingabva zvanyatsokonzeresa kuti munhu asaite vana. Vanhu vazhinji taizongovaendesa kwavanofanira kuenda kumagynecologist ikoko vachinoonekwa kuti chii chiri kuitika. But inini as a nurse chinhu chandikanyatsoona ndechekuti munhu akangoshaya kuisa pamiri pafirst 6 months kuzomuitisa kuti ave nepamiri kunotonetsa kukazvara makore. Why? Because chaakuafektwa ipfungwa dzake.
Wow. All right. I'm going to come back to you, Gogo, because ndinoda kuti muzobata iye grieving. But before we get into it, I want Florence to come in. I know I'm going to read some of the comments that the ladies shared, but I want you to tell us why you started your campaign against the not grieving or not mourning taboo. What inspired that? Why?
I got my inspiration from the losses that I had. I actually had my first loss in 2010 in February, to be specific. I was 8 weeks pregnant then. So ndakarwadziwa pasina help yandaikwanisa kuwana. Ndakaenda palocal clinic ndaita kukambaira in pain early in the morning, then was referred to a hospital.
Okay.
Ndasvika kuhospital ikoko ndakagara muqueue yanga ine ma-emergency, vamwe vaita ma-accidents, vamwe chii. There was no one to reach to. Ndobva ndazoona chiremba manheru mausiku.
Okay.
Ndikarara ndakadaro ndisina kukliniwa kusvikira mangwana. Ndainzi yo chibereko, muromo wechibereko wakavhara, so there is nothing we can do. So chiremba vakazoya zvikanzi no muendesei kutheatre for cleaning. It wasn't successful because that gynecologist aiti my supervisor ati ndikuendese but iwewe your womb is still closed. Saka there is nothing that I can do. Kwakungokurwadzisa. Ndakarwadziwa ndobva ndadzorwa kuward iri unsuccessful evacuation.
Okay.
Then ndobva ndazogara ndikazodzokera futi kuda mangwana acho ndopa ndakaita successful. So ndakagara, there was no one to talk to kuti losi yangu yakamira sei, and inini ndaenda psychologically because of bottling that grief. Mwana atanga tatopa zita kuti tadiwa nashe. Saka hapana wekuti ndaikwanisa kutaura naye kuti ndawirwa nedambudziko rakati ndiri kunzwa so. Saka ndakagara kusvikira ndazobata pamwe pamwiri ndo pakave successful. Then later on I tried again for another baby.
Okay.
That was in 2014. Then tafamba takuma around 30 weeks I started having my BP issues, elevated blood pressure issues. I was admitted in 33 weeks ne preeclampsia. So ndakaiswa pamethyl dopa. They were trying to control the blood pressure. Unfortunately, was discharged on a Sunday at 35 weeks. I was discharged on a Sunday. Then ndasvika kumba ndikatanga kunzwa kuti ndakati ndichisvika kumba mwana wandaigara naye akati mama dumbu renyu radzikira. ndatomboda kubvunza kuti asi mwana mamusiya kuchipatara. Ndikati no, I'm still pregnant. Ndobva tagara Tuesday, I had to visit my doctor. Ndikati chiremba ini mwana handichanyatsomunzwa kuita se handichanyatsokumunzwa kutamba. Ndobva chiremba vatomisa pafita heart monitor. We all could hear the heartbeat. Vakati inzwa heartbeat. I had to go home nerelief yekuti mwana is fine. Only kuti Thursday manheru ndopandakatangonzwa dumbu riri kuoma, hamuna makicks, riri kuoma richiita like riri kufamba like so. Then morning yacho ndopandakatanga kuita contractions. Okay. In the morning I had to visit the doctor's rooms. My BP was elevated. Ndobva vati kucheka fita heart, there was nothing. They referred me kuti ndiende for a scan, which confirmed kuti panga pasina mwana and I had lost the amniotic fluid. But I didn't know kuti I was losing the amniotic fluid then. So pandakagara muchipatara ndikarwadziswa, I gave birth to mwana. Ndiri muchipatara imomo hakuna kwekuchema kwandaiwana. Manesi vanga vachimbondifarira dzimwe nguva vachimbomirawo neni, but then vakatanga kuzvisudurudza like ndine chimwe chirwere chandinacho. Vakatanga kuzvisudurudza kubva pandiri, then they transferred me kuenda kune imwe room. Yet inini ndainzwa kuti my healing inoita zvakanaka kana ndiri pedo nemwana kana padhuze nemunhu ari kuda kubatsirwa mwana. Because ndanga ndakutyira vamwe kuti no, ukasadai so you are going to lose your child. Saka ita so mwana. So ndakatransfer ndikaendeswa mune imwe room with this other lady akatobewa injections akakwatsira. Ndaichema ndiri ndega. No one would check on me. Apa ndaiswa kuward isisina midwives who knew kuti Florence had a loss. Ndaiswa maoko evamwe vana nurse vakundiona semunhu. Saka vaingobvunza, why are you crying? Your BP is elevated. What's the matter? Inini ndichichema kudaro. Chiremba vakati no Florence, pachauya midwife. Pachauya anonzani mukuru wematron. Achauya to counsel you tomorrow morning. Then she came. I was expecting kuti ndichaburitsa my pain since ndanzi counseling. Yeah. She came ndobva angoti yes mwanangu. Zvinowanikwa. Sorry hako. Ndobva aenda. Then this other nurse who knew me ndine my daughter ndakambopinda naye muchipatara. Zvikanzi nai mai munochemei imimi hazvina basa handi une umwe mwana. So izvozvo zvekuti panga pasina kana munhu unokwanisa kutaura naye kuti no inini ndiri kunzwa zvakati ndaita pain. Ndakagara namama vangu and my mom-in-law for a month ndiinavo, but havanambokwanisa kuti vandibvunze kuti nai mwanangu chii chakaitika kana kuti uri kunzwa sei. Vaigara neni vachindivaraidza zvekutaura neni nyaya, but inini ndaida kuti pain yangu ibude through kutaura. Takagara tese 1 month, they thought kuti I was okay. And after vafunga kuti they were okay, umwe nomwe ndobva aenda kumba kwake. Ndobva ndasara nehusband yangu, ndopandakazopinda mudepression manje. Kwakuchienda kunosika professional counseling. Ikoko ndoko vakandibatsira, she would check up on me even mausiku because ndanda kuita ndichikanganwa and ndaita like munhu ari padenial ndichi handina kuita a loss. I would go for shopping kutonotenga hembe baby and the baby wasn't there. It was very difficult kutaurira my younger daughter kuti no my dear, we have lost the child, because I had prepared her kuti azo accepta kuti tine mwana ari kuuya munomba. So she would ask kuti mama, let's feed the baby, where is the baby? Kuti uzotsanangura. Then it ended up with their magogo acho vachienda naye. So ndazosara ndakaenda pamedication yedepression. Ndaisara ndiri kumba, hapana wekutaura naye. Kubasa ndikada kutaura, hapana vanhu vaikunoti no my mutsa, it's enough. Ndikada kutaura about my loss, that's enough my mutsa. Saka ndakatanga kushatu ndotaura nani, but ndainzwa kuti I want to talk about this, kuti ndainzwa ndine mutoro wanga wakandiremera wandaida kuti ndiburitse kunze. So that's when I started reaching out to vanhu vanga vane macases akafanana neni. Ndikangona munhu achiti ndashayikirwa nemwana, I would reach out to inbox kwake kuFacebook kuti no, yatifambe tese palosi kusvika tatowanda. We had a group tatowanda tiri kutaurawo nezvemalosses edu. Then I met this other lady who was based in Gweru, anga achitiwawo the same group, same scenario. Then we decided to merge the two groups into one. Ndorava Moms for Hope now.
Wow.
Ndora tiri kubatsirana kuti munhu asangana nelosi uya kwatiri, we are open, let's grieve together. A loss is a loss. Mashita.
Wow. And what is said is she's not the only one with this experience. All right. I think let me go back kuna Doc Nagogo on the medical side of things. Is it, I don't know, is it training yema health personnel kuti they are not supposed to be attached to my patients ere? The reason why I'm asking is I can relate to what she's saying, the lack of that human concern or that human interaction. Because Inini, I also had a loss to my miscarriages within a space of few months. And every time I would go, because Daiva times in what do they call them? That's not a urologist, I'm forgetting the name. Radiologist, I think. Konono, it was scan and everything. And I think the first time I went there, I didn't even know I'd miscarried. I'd been told by my doku kwenda for scan, and now to scan at 7 weeks, because at least if I put heartbeat, so when I get there, I'm drinking water like everyone else. Me and my husband were excited. And then we get into the room. I lie down. The head of Wacho was busy with another patient per next. So these two ladies were the ones, I think my assistants they were asked to attend me. So my husband is standing there holding my hand. And then I'm excited. I'm waiting to movie. You know, me when I got pregnant, I was already singing the movie. And then I hear heartbeat. So in my mind, I'm waiting to hear the heartbeat. And then there is silence. And then I could tell what these ladies are looking at each other. And then the next thing they call that dog. And then he comes and there's silence. Immediately, I could tell something was off. Something is not right. And then they start asking me, are you sure you are pregnant? I'm like, how would I come here? It's written and everything. Go and buy another test. But they are talking among themselves. But beg remwana riripo. Inenge ectopic. Inenge, but beg. They are not saying anything to my husband. They are not explaining anything to me. I'm just like a slab of meat eating butcher. The next thing, I'm not checking my pregnancy test. I come back. Could test what I couldn't, because my mind was already something else. The next thing, she goes, so sure. Saka inenge ectopic pregnancy. Chibudai, mcha after 30 minutes, and then you're given this envelope to go and take to your doctor. And that's it. Even when I did the second one, I said to my doctor, I had a nasty experience. Please refer me to another, because Nakanze is the best of the best. Even if it's refer me to second best. I went to second best. I got there. Same procedure. Manja, this time, I don't know, what, to make sure this. And then she puts this thing and it's painful. And for me, this one was the worst. When she was done, she went out. We remained with my husband. Atiskuzoti, tobuda, arkudzoka, apedza, zvirufamba say, I'm telling you, I think we stayed for 30 minutes in that room. Kushikira my husband ati, shamwarika, zikatinoona ku reception. Then we go to the reception. Tataka mirira kuti vachadzoka. Go and wait outside. Mozopiwa. All I'm saying is the way that you are treated. This is something that you are going through. You have never gone through this. And the people that are supposed to be giving you information are treating you like you are some. For me, up to now, I felt like, and yekuti unosvika uchinzi $50 yoiswa payouya and then yoputirwa yoenda. So I want to find out from you, Doc, first, kuti, is this how it's supposed to be done?
It's
Whilst
quite humbling. Yes, you can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
Yes. So
Doc, can you unmute yourself?
okay. Okay. Now,
Right.
now you can hear me?
Yes, we can,
Very
loud
well.
and clear.
There is a technicality. When I write a request for an ultrasound scan to a radiologist, I want them to communicate with me, because there are scenarios whereby radiologists sometimes they run scary comments as and when they are doing and end up passing information that is clinical, which is not radiological, delving in areas where probably they are not well trained. So in a way, maybe the way it was done was probably unnecessarily radical. But ideally, a radiologist is supposed to be talking to you, telling you that you will get a response to your doctor who has referred you here, because they see structures. After seeing structures, they're supposed to communicate to me. Then I'll make clinical sense of the structures that are happening. From the scan where they were asking as to whether you were pregnant or not, I'm suspecting in my head that you had a condition called a blighted ovum or a missed miscarriage.
All right.
Yes. So in those scenarios, you get pregnant, the pregnancy test is positive, but the pregnancy fails. It resolves. And from an ultrasound scan, it looks like a normal uterus. And people are thinking aloud, are you actually pregnant? If you
Exactly.
are, we are not seeing it within the uterus. Could it be in the tube? However, if you go back to your doctor, he will clarify or she will clarify everything. Nowadays, as you can see from my background there, I've got a scan. We prefer to do our own scans so that I can make head and tail of the condition right there instead of me referring you to a radiologist and then coming back. If it's complicated, I will tell you that I've got limitations. I'm not a specialist in the scanning area. I will refer you to a radiologist to answer questions A, B, C, D, E. And then that's how it's done. As for Florence's separation from other moms who were expecting or probably who had kids, there is communication breakdown up to now. Sometimes when a woman loses a child, we want to isolate them. Some say if they see a pregnant woman, if they see a baby crying, it will trigger more emotions. But in a way, from what you've said, Papa, some people would actually be given an option to stay or to be isolated, or better still, to be discharged to the loved ones. And we also encourage communication. Keep trying to talk, keep opening up so that you can get appropriate help, because people are different.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. This is why it's very important for us to have these conversations, because tinozoudzana zvisiri koko kuti you understand, but still I think some form of empathy is needed, like you have rightfully said, kuti if it had been explained very well, kuti we can't go beyond what we have done, but we refer you to your gyna, because yekuzosiwa 30 minutes hausi kuziva kuti ndoenda here is something else. Goga, I'm coming back to you paissue yambotaurwa yemanesi. Ndo zvamaita here mu40 years?
It is unfortunate ndaitonetsana nevamwe.
All right.
And sometimes I would not have good relationship, because majority kati zvakati zvikasanyatsoonekwa kuti chokati chacho chataurwa changa chabva papika, iwo ndinotoguma uchinzoriromo. Inini ndiri muunesi umu ndakazoona kuti netsvagudzo yandikaita, ukata every profession ine certain diabolic ningi inopinda muprofession imomo.
Okay.
You have to really need to be with God in certain professions. And ndingati futi certain, even uchichengeta huku chaidzo. Otherwise dzinofadzese nokushaya hanya ikokoko. Inini ndakazviona ende handidi kuzvirumbidza, but vanhu vachanzwa ndichitaura vachapupura mabatiro andikaita vanhu. Iyo nyaya iri kutaurwa naNdiFlorence, ndakasvika pakuti nhai, ko hazviite here kuti bvunze munhu, because I was now a senior midwife. Munhu anoda kubvunzwa kuti where exactly do you want to go and rest? With others vaita vana here? Kana kuti with others who have also had the losses. Mumwe anokudza kuti ini sister ndifunga kutoenda kumba chaiko. And then you advise kuti no, kana muchikuenda kumba, which means takukuisai menyu mega, we monitor you nhasi, because hazvito kuti muende kumba chi nhasi. If anything happens muri kumba, responsibility remains ours. Mumwe wati aiwa ndoda kuenda mune vana, mumwe anotosumuka, vanhu vakasiyana, mumwe anotosumuka kuti ufunge ndakarasikirwa zvako, tenda Mwari iwe, achibata mumwe wake ari panext nemwana wake. Mumwe anenge achingochema achionawo vamwe vanechi vane vana. Saka zvese izvi zvinhu zviri kuda kuti zviongororwe muprofesheni yedu yacho iyi, kuti even iye nesi uyu asave ndiye muchemedzi zvakare, kunge ndiye ane pati ari involved mukubva kwenyu. Ingofila kuti dai ndanga ndirini zvingadai zvamira sei. Munhu anoda kutaurwa naye, munhu anzwisise madepression ari kutaura, some walk up kungomuka achitanga kufamba kutenderera kuenda nedepression, because anenge arasikirwa nepfungwa dzake dzese, asvika pamagumo asaziva kuti what's next. And especially kana zvadzoka kudaro zvine dambudziko. Isu semanesi tine dambudziko rekuti vamwe takauya kuzowana mari, vamwe takauya kuzobatsira vanhu. Kana ichitaura izvika, even vachizvinzwa nhasi, ngavazvinzwe kuti you are only creating a problem between yourself and your God, even if uchienda kuchechi. Kuti hauite chinhu chakanaka kumunhu uchimuweya level imwe chete, uchimuisa pasi chikero chokuti saka mari yacho yandirozowana apa imari kana ndichinge ndaita izvi. And I think we must work with the multiplication system of Jesus Christ, where he fed people 5 loaves, 2 fish, and zvichinzi varume during that time. But tikazotarisa kuti murume mumwe chete kana vanzi 5,000, pane vakadziwo futi 5,000 handiti, pane vana more than 20,000, which means he fed more than 20 to 30,000 people with that. Why I'm using the multiplication, mari yatinotambira must not be valued ne-value yemunhu akasikwa naMwari. And then I say, iwewe wauya kubasa ukaripinda ukaudzwa kuti basa rako nderei, rawakatodzidza handitika. Saka dambudziko rako raapapi pakuti iwewe uti munhu ari kufanira kukupa mari, uyo ari kurwara uyo must suffer so that the one not giving me the money will hear from this one who is suffering pamusana pokuti handina kupa service yakakwana. What is that? Create a lot of problems to ourselves. Professions imomo takatora zvinhu zvakawandisa tikaenda nazvo kumba kwedu, because God today is not happy with us with what we have done to other people. That's why Jesus said, and idai neighbor yako. Hazvina kunzi yakanaka. Ida neighbor yako chete nyanga yakaipa yacho. Saka in this profession yedu kai ini ndoshare kuti ndoti I even tell them izvozvi panguva ino, panguva yeCovid, panguva yechi, kuti if you are supposed to die with COVID, even if you run away from Parinyaka, you're still going to die at home. And it happened.
Yeah, makukutu ataurwa nagogo kuvhiya. Tichiri pamaprofession apa. I just want to read a few of my comments that come through, as I feel they are going to help us even with this conversation. Prophet, these are life very, these are ladies from a group, which after the first session, I said, I want you to add me on that group. So I told them about the show and asked them to share their experiences in light of this topic. So I'll read this one. Sekumwe kuchechi kwandakamboenda rimwe gore. Hanzi kana uchida mwana uya nemari inokwana kuita $1,000. kuti upiwe mwana ubreke macases ari pauri. Ndakangoti ehoi, kubuda kwandakaita ndokwakava kurega kupinda chechi iyoyo. Hanzi that money tinoinamatira yova offering yekubreka miscarriage in the spiritual realm. Prophet Mahlahla, here is a case. She's saying because of her miscarriages, like she rightfully said, when we are desperate as women, we can go for anything, and this is where we are manipulated. So she went to a certain church, she claims, and she was charged $1,000. And I don't know whether it's a prophet or what. The man of God, they said, it's for breaking cases. So the money is so that they can access the spiritual realm on her behalf, so that she stops having miscarriages.
I think Doc mentioned that there are some con men
Okay.
in the spiritual practitioners group.
All right.
I have had cases, and we are having to unteach some of these wrong things or misrepresentations of the kingdom of God, where someone will charge a certain fee.
Okay.
I know Doc will charge a consultation fee. I know a lot of practitioners charge consultation fee. And unfortunately, this has been brought into the church.
Okay.
Where people are classified according to economic status in the church. So when you come in, Mama Lynn, with your tint, psychologically you are managed. So when I look at you, without being very spiritual, when I look at you, you must be having some money.
Okay.
So it means your problem can be attached to a financial gain of some sort. So it doesn't necessarily mean that this one was charged 1,000 will be the same, or there's a differentiation of charges.
All right.
But I want to say the Bible does not encourage us to charge. The Bible, I will refer to the scripture at some point, but it says, freely you are given, and freely you shall give. We are looking at a gift from God. It's free. We don't buy it. We don't qualify to have a gift. So why should I attach some financial perspective to it, to say, you must pay so much? I have tried to minister to people, and in some cases, some people have phoned me to say, we want you to come to our house. We want you to hold prayers for us, but how much do you charge? If it's because they have been charged before. I remember a certain family phoned me to say, we want you to come all the way to Chiweshe. We have got a beast. Yekuti mukabvisa zvituko zvakati vanhu vedu vari kuita mamiscarriage havasi kurohwa makatibvisira zvinizvi tinokupai mombe. I have never been there, but what has happened is we have prayed on the phone for those people. I don't even know them. Hamiri kwavakona number dzangu, but they are testifying that certain things have happened. Ndakaramba mombe yavo, ndakaramba mari yavo. The general problem that we are facing is amongst you ladies as well. Can I point this very clearly, maybe, and boldly? You are very vulnerable.
Okay.
And sometimes you make yourselves vulnerable.
All right.
Because you consult every Tom, Jack, Jill, and Harry. Anyone who is called a man of God, you consult. We have had cases where where ladies have been raped. Some prophet will say, I want to insert certain holy substances into your genital organs, and they are raped.
Hey.
Some certain men of God will say, take off your clothes. We want to view your body so that we can prophesy. That's very ungodly. So ladies out there, please, when you go to see a man of God with whatever problem you have, make sure that the man of God has his wife.
All right. And
you consult in the presence of the wife. Make sure you go with your husband. Don't enter any secret place where they will say, I want to talk to you on your own, mama. Go with your husband. Because if this is a genuine man of God, he will minister to both of you. After all, Doc said 30% of infertility and 30% is maternal and paternal. So we could be having the same problem. Maybe my sperm count is low. Or we have anxiety issues. Now the economy is bad on us. Maybe we have stress-related issues and we are failing to conceive because of this. So why do you want to cancel my wife on and where is your wife?
Okay.
So I would encourage ladies out there, don't take off your clothes for anyone. Don't go behind closed doors with anyone. When you go for counseling, go with your husband, or insist that this man of God or woman of God also has his wife. And maybe finally, Don't just say any man of God is a man of God. We have wolves in sheepskin. This habit, this tendency of transferring churches, you go to this prophet in the morning, in the evening, I had this Baba, later on in the week, I had this nun, I had this child, and so on. This has got to stop. People have got to seek the face of God genuinely, and God will intervene on their behalf.
Wow. All right. Here's another one. I am very bitter with the church and culture. Church made me feel like handina faith. They made me feel like I was not seeding enough. And worse, they never acknowledged my loss. Izvi zvekuti he uri kunonoka kuita Mwari nekuti wauchapiwa mwana ane calling. Aiwa ini ndaigoda mwana chete and saka when they are saying wandiri kupiwa naMwari havana calling, saka vari kuda. And my question then is, why were they created in the first place and put in my womb? Anga asiri wako saka aitsvagei muchibereko changu. So I think for the sake of others, what she's simply saying is, on the church, she's appealing to the church side, saying kuti kucheshi, then when she has these miscarriages, they then say that these children were not yours, because maybe the reason why you are delaying to have children and you're having miscarriages is because your womb is supposed to carry a prophet and a calling. So she's saying, for me and this could a calling, I want a child. And why would God put that child in the first place? Kanasiri wangu.
God doesn't make
So I don't know if you've got anything to contribute on that end.
Maybe I just want to say this clearly. I don't know if it's clear enough. That God does not make mistakes. He is not the author of confusion. That's what the Bible says. He is the author of peace. So for a person to say this delay has been due to certain phenomena that they are not sure of is misinforming, damaging. I have had cases, and I think you witnessed with me, Mama Lynn, that there are people who have withdrawn from going to any form of church. They are bitter with the church. They are fed up with what the church has done, because people have promised the things that cannot be delivered, and they claim they have heard from God. So you are asked to seed and seed and seed and seed again. Then when they say you don't have faith, did you attach my seed to my faith in the first place? Why didn't you tell me that you are seeding in faith? There is a real separation between the faith and the seed. So men of God, women of God out there, whosoever you are, please be a specialist. I think in medicine we have specialists, the gynecologist, the what. If you are not a prophet, don't prophesy. If you have not heard from God, don't say anything that has not been said. You must admit that in these areas, I'm not sure. We don't want sons of Sceva going out there and misrepresenting the kingdom of God. If you are not sure, just say, I'm not sure. If you are not mature, just say, I'm not mature in this area. I've had cases where I refer certain people to my father, Apostle Daniel Manyonda. I say, this one I cannot handle. But I've also had cases where certain pastors also who are younger than myself will refer people to me to say, I cannot handle this. Why not just admit and say, I have not heard from God? This is what I usually do to people. You know, people hear that I'm a prophet. So they will squeeze a prophecy out of me. You meet people, a person there in the street, they'll say, thank God I have met you, man of God. Release a word into my life. And I will say, I have not heard from God. Let's pray about it. In some cases, we'll pray and they will testify. In some cases, God will not answer. There are people who have consulted me for whom I don't have answers even up to now. So I still honestly say to them, I haven't heard from God. I think it's professional and ethical enough.
All right. So she goes on to say, then culture. Hanzi viswasari. I think you explained that one very well. And I asked gynecologist kuti sare chi? Akati ingoriwo nyama or what anochekwa vanhu. Ndakanzi he kuroorwa kwandakaita pakaita maanomaly. Saka dzinza rekwababa rakatsamwa. Saka dzinza rababa rakadi kutsamwawo when my father did not pay lobola for my mother. Rakazopepuka pandiri.
In the first place.
So let me just read a few, I think, so that you'll be hearing, so that we can touch on some of the issues, because it's almost common.
Yes.
taura hako unobva waita sekunge kune kamwe this one will come back to you, kamunamatiro kaunofanira kuita kausingaite. Ende unotonzi kuna Mwari hakuna ana BP or miscarriage. Endi kana nhumbu yabata inofanirwa kuzvara, saka ikabva unenge usina kuinamatira. Endi ukatoenda kuscan ukazoita miscarriage, kunotonzi scan ndo yaita uite miscarriage iyoyo. Just have faith unombata mwana. I think on this one, I want a doc to come in onto this one. I've also heard these rumors where people say hanzi pane maskana anokonzeresa miscarriage. Please, can you clear the air on that one as a medical professional?
Okay, thank you very much. Scan, by virtue of it being an ultrasound scan, it's sound, it's not an x-ray. Yes, my x-rays are not going to put some problems. Yes, my CT scan are not going to put some problem, but an ultrasound scan, inotoshanda kuona nhumbu diki isati yatombosvika 9 weeks ichiri diki diki, even mwana achiri kugadzirwa. That's how safe it is. So far, scan iri kungonzi iri safe. You can have as many as you want. Nokuti iri safe, haikonzerese miscarriage.
Okay.
Imwe dambudziko rinoitika with miscarriages is that madzimai who would have suffered losses, they blame themselves for the loss. Anofunga kuti ane zvaaita iye zvacontributor. And yet, mastudies akaitwa akaratidza kuti nhumbu zhinji dzinobva dzisati dzasvika 14 weeks, vana vacho vanenge vakangotoremarawo zvavo. Either the pregnancy yafaila yoita missed or blighted ovum, kana kuti mahormones anodiwa kuti nhumbu ikure zvakanaka akaleka, zvinogona kukonzeresa futi miscarriage. Zvisinei nekuti mai vaita sei, zvisinei nekuti baba vaita sei. And kana miscarriage yaitika, yangoitika, hazvinei nemunhu kuti ndiani akonzeresa, whether mwana afira mudumbu, kuti mai vane chavaita wrong, chavari kufanirwa kuchinja. Of course, there are scenarios ekuti munhu anogona kutorwa x-ray asingazoti ane nhumbu diki, nhumbu yozoita maproblems yobva.
I think maybe I want to come to you, Florence, because there's a question that people ask a lot. Kuti, all right, miscarriage yaitika, munhu aita stillbirth. How do I approach munhu yeye? Is it not invading your privacy? Kuti ndiuye, you know, I come to you, Florence, and say, Florence, I heard you the miscarriage. I'm so sorry about that. Some, it's not good, they don't want to be there for us. But it's an issue of, I don't know if I should approach it, if I should ask it. If I should ask it, how do I even go about it? Can you please help people? With your experience with the ladies, are they ladies who say, or most of them, they actually want, like you're saying, there's this grief, there's this pent up emotions that I have not been allowed to express. So the minute Florence asks me, kuita marira Jeremiah kwandinoita kuya ndikutotanga my healing process. But if that thing is not provoked in me, can you please help us on that one? Help people who want to help and reach out.
Okay. Ipapo panogona kunge pari tricky depending on your relationship with that person. Like I said, inini hangu personally, I would approach and I can approach. Whether I don't know you, kana kuti I know you. That moment yandinongonzwa kuti this person had a loss. Ndinosvika pauri. I'm sorry. Pane zvandakanzwa kuti makarasikirwa nemwana. I am very sorry. Ndo mashoko andinokwanisa kutaura. Kana muchida kutaura nezvazvo, I'm available. Kana ndichikwanisa kumupa nhamba munhu yandinomupa kuti munondibata panhamba yakati. Then dzimwe nguva tinotaura kuinbox. Kana yazoti no, I'm prepared kuti nditaure nevamwe mugroup. Then ndozokuedha mugroup. then kune macases ekuti vanhu vanonyarara like zvatareva kuti don't know kuti unofanira kutaura kuti kudii. Ndini ndanga ndiri musituation iyoyo ndikuenda kuchechi, no one talks about my loss. I'm talking about a 35 weeks pregnancy. It means dumbu rakatokura, munhu wese ari kutoziva kuti she's expecting. Then the next thing munotonzwa kuti no, she had a loss, haana mwana, ndo yakubasa, then you just keep quiet, you don't talk about it. Inini zvinorwadza kwezi pane macases ekuti pane mumwe futi anokunyararidza, then later in life that person obva experience a loss, and that person kuti azoti let me go kuna Florence pamwe because of zvaakambotaura kumashure akunyara kuti achiti no, but that person anosvika pakurwadziwa stereki. Kuchechi unoenda, vanhu vanonoimba zvichida unoimbira Mwari, zvichida wakangogarawo muchechi. Muri muchechi muya, you don't talk about the loss, and hapana rumbotaura. Last week I was pregnant and I do not have a child. Imi mongonyarara just like that. Inini I feel kuti kana iwewe waona, especially isusu takambosangana nemalosses, you know the pain, you guys know the pain of losing a child. Saka let that pain push you. Atisi kuti uende unotaura mashoko akawanda. Just let that person know that you care. Kungoti tine urombo nezvamakasangana nazvo, it's enough. Then kana uya munhu ari open kuti akwanise kutaura kuti ndakasangana nezvakati, because what I have noticed about grief is the more you talk about it, pain yacho inoenda ichiita nani. It doesn't go away forever, because I'm talking about the last loss that I had in 2014, and takutuva ne 8 years now since then, but I still have that pain, even though ndichitaura more about it, even though ndichita reach out to people about it, even though ndikaprint how many t-shirts for keepsake, but still I am in pain. I'm still in pain. Ameno kuti inozopera after how long? And izvozvi kutotaura kwandiri kuita about it, it's also helping me to heal. And ndinoshuvirawo kuti vamwe muri kusangana nemascenarios akadaro, talk about it. There is no need yekuva privacy about a loss, because in the end ndiwo chapedzisira wakurwara uchifunga kuti uri kuita privacy, and hazvisekesi kuita a loss, zvinorwadza. Saka there is no way yekuti tingati vanhu vanozotiseka kuti ndaita loss, o zvambotaurwa nemumwe kuti rutendo rwangu rwamira papi, like the church is now measuring kuti inini handisati ndasvika papoint yahana. Hana anonzi neshoko raMwari akanga avharwa chibereko. Avharwa chibereko naMwari, ndozvinotaura shoko raMwari. Kuti Mwari vakasvika pakuvhara chibereko chaHana. Maybe he wanted kuti azotestify about it. Kuti kuna Mwari vazonipa vana, achibatsirwawo nesociety to testify kuti no. But let's not say kuti Hana wasn't praying before. Azonamata kusvikira akuita semunhu akatakwa. She was praying. Vana penina vachiuya, she was praying. Asi maybe isusu we haven't reached patiri kufanira kunge tichifanirwa kusvika naMwari. And guys, delay is not denial. There is hope. There is hope. Kana Mwari vakaitira inini after losing 2 kids, newewo vanokuitira.
Wow. Thank you so much for those words. I think as we are rounding off, I want Prophet Mashasha. Pane this that I want to read. There's someone who shared on the group. She said, "Pane mukadzi wekuchechi kwedu akaita stillbirth. I heard about it from your sister-in-law. Ini naye tinongotaurawo zvimwe zviya. Do I reach out to her or what?" I think I want you to help us and help the church, help us pastors. How best can we deal with issue ye pregnancy, loss kunyanya ne stillbirth? Miscarriage usually it's 8 weeks, 6 weeks. Like she's right. She has already spoken to people like me, because there's no way you'd have known I had a miscarriage, because I went about my day-to-day duties. Where I was supposed to be in the studio, I'll be in the studio. Where I was supposed to be church, I'll be church. But I had to speak to someone. like you're saying, because I felt kuti ndikaramba ndakazvisa, but imi munoda kuti mutaure mune mwana wenyu wesangano wamuri kuziva kuti ndewepresident worship, everyone knows she's pregnant, she's expecting, probably akatoitirwa kitchen tea inonzi chibaby welcome kuchechi, baby shower kuchechi. Now there's no more child. How do church, because my church actually has stumbles, it's not good they are quiet because they don't even know how do we deal with this. Because whenever we do Bible school, we are taught of water baptism, baby dedication. We are not prepared for this. How then do we help couples who have had a stillbirth? What can the church do? Because like you're saying, these ladies are in pain. Vari kukudai kuti taurai nezvazvo, tibatei maoko, taurai nesu. We are part of you.
Number one, the church is a family. It's okay, let's say it's supposed to be a family.
Yeah.
Before mishaps happen, before misfortunes befall the church, under normal circumstances, when we are all filled with the joy of the Lord, the joy of the Holy Ghost, we must be family first. How do I mean we must be family? This is my mother, this is my gogo, she's my sister, you're my daughter. We must relate at those levels. We must have a tendency of visiting one another and fellowshipping beyond the pulpit. Mama Lina, I haven't seen you in a while. We can't just be meeting Sunday. I can't just be looking at you from the pulpit. I must know, Gogo, how are you? I saw you had a birthday. This has been happening. What is happening at the farm? What is happening in your organization? If we build relationships at that level, breaking that barrier will not be a challenge. The major challenge with church is we have several categories of churches in Zim and worldwide. We have the mega church. Now, the structure of the mega church, if we are not careful, can be restricted to the head of the church, the founder of the church, the apostle. And this person is limited in their reaching out to the congregants, which means they must have a system where their associate pastors, assistant pastors who can break the church into small manageable units so that they're able to do a visitation, they're able to do a fellowship, they attend every event if they are so allowed. The general problem where we fail to break beyond these boundaries is because we are not on talking terms. I simply receive your tithe and your seed. I only know you from the register of the church if it is there. If it's a big church and you are a backbencher and you're not involved, you are not even known to the men of God. So it's a problem where you feel isolated. There is no sense of belonging because you are not part of the family. Then the other point which I want to bring across is the church must teach people to pray. We cannot have a church where the men of God, the spiritual individual, will say you don't need to pray as long as you are under this covering. People must learn to pray. But that's beside the point. My major thrust today is let the church be a family where we talk, where we fellowship, where we know where each other lives, where we know the challenges and the problems that people are facing. Because if I know you, Mama Lynn, and I meet you on Sunday, I can easily read, without being prophetic, I can easily read your mood to say, Lynn this is not the Lynn that I know. This is not the Gogo that I know. This is not my daughter that I know. So as long as we have that relationship, we can then go to a corner and say, are you okay? That statement enough shows that I care. And sometimes when you ask an individual, are you okay? Is everything okay at home? Someone will begin to say, Pastor, so you can go home and people can talk. Sometimes they will say, they will initiate the conversation. Mama Lindu kumbira kukuona pane nyaya yakaitika. Makazoona kuti dumbu richikura ndachitopfeka madress haya. Ati mwana wetu takarasikirwa naye. Some people will be able to open up. So if it is a symbiotic relationship where we mutually relate, it's not one party that initiates the conversation. It can start from the victim. It can start from the person who is supposed to be providing the counseling assistance. So my emphasis is let's build family in the church. Jesus did not come that we may go to church. The Bible says, I came that you may have life and life in abundance. And life, church, Mama Lynn, a week is 7 times 24 hours. But did you know this is 168 hours in a week? Do you know that we only go to church for 4 hours? 164 hours is life.
Maximum.
If you do a cell group, it's just an hour. So which means 163 hours is life. In this life, what do? We fellowship, we talk about problems that cannot be addressed on the pulpit. I want the church, I am praying, I yearn for a church which is beyond the pulpit, where the pastor gets away from the pulpit and goes to the people and reaches out. This is what Jesus used to do. He would sit in Peter's boat and preach to people seated. Then after preaching, he provided for a need. Peter will not batter over it, cast it down to the deep. So the church must be family. This is why Jesus had to come. That's why he would have a supper with his disciples. Not a church where the man of God is removed from the church. He stays somewhere where people don't even know they can't access him, and people stay somewhere else. He only visits them on Sunday, and on Sunday, he only is received by the elders and the pastors with his fancy car. After church, he goes out after preaching. That's not the essence of church. Let's be family.
All right, thank you so much. I think they are hearing it. Let us be family. So I'm coming to you, Gogo. We are closing. I just want you to speak to the society, to the families especially, because in these issues, pane vamwe vari kutaura kuti beyond church, there's also issue yokuti anamai also contribute to the pain. There's a lady who was saying kuti inini, my mom would say everything mwana wangu akarwara is because mwana wako ndewesiza. Iwewe hausati watombo experience chinonzi kuzvara. You are a virgin with children because wakaita Caesar. You know those kind of statements. And amwe ma statements iwayo ekunzi mwana hachemwe, mwana mudiki. Iwewe ukaita miscarriage, you are not supposed to grieve because it will cause another. As it is, taona with this all my example. Well, I say yes andagona kuverenga because of time. We have seen kuti people are hating. It's not helping. What can you say? Should we tirambe takabatirira maculture iwanyenya kuti chivanhu chedu here? When we are seeing kuti vazukuru venyu, your daughters, we are in pain because of not being allowed to grieve. What can you say to the mothers, anagogo, anatete, to the community?
Okay, thanks. Inini kuona kwandineta chokutanga. Ngative neukama hwakanaka nevana vedu. Inini kana nchiti vana vedu, muroora mukuru anonzi Pesi, ndiye andisiya pano. The other one anonzi Mona Lisa, ndiye andisiya. Ndo vandiri kuti vana vedu. Pane mamwe mazuva akaisa mawalls mukati meupenyu hwevanhu. Rudo rukasaoneka, because kana ndiri behind here, wandiri kuti muroora uyu ato behind the other wall, haaoni, handigoni kuva padyo naye. But inini I think vana vangu ava vasikana, they can testify kuti isusu we are a family. Zvatiri family chinoitika tinonzwirana tsitsi nokuti munenge maumba muri. Dambudziko ratinaro isusu sevana mbuya vacho sana amai vacho nderekuti tinotogara pasi handiti zvinenge zvainzi kana amai inini nababa tisingade muroora uyu tinogona kutozvigadzira kusvika muroora aenda by doing pasina kana mushonga kana chii, kumeka sure kuti akaomerwa svika aenda. Izvo zvese izvozvozvo kune vanhu vari kuenda kuchechi, because inini I feel kuti munhu wese almost everybody akanyatsogara kumba chaika ari kuti handisi vemwari ka tava shoma. Zvino kana tiri vashoma ka, zvimwe zvinhu zvataiita zvinofanira kusanduka, tifambirane neshoko raMwari. Chokutanga ngatide vana vedu vauya, vanga vakwasha kana vanasikana, vana vedu kana aisangana nelosi, ngandinzwe inini ndive pamberi penyaya iyi, palosi iyi iyeni kwakauyiwa kwacho, kuitira kuti ava vauya ava amai vako nemabereki vake nehama dzake vafile kuti no, uyu munhu ka ari mumaoko matsvene, uyu haana kana dambudziko, problem yaitika zvayo asi hapana chidambudziko. Inyaya yekunzi munhu asachemeka ina handisapoti, handifarire, because pese paunogumburwa kana nemazwi hasha dzese dzinopera nokuchema. Handiti it seems matears edu ka ane zvaanogeza mukati mesoul yedu. Saka munhu ngaacheme, handiti mukuchema kwake ikoko kunobuda nyaradzo yakasimba, imi muchiuya manje nemazwi ekupukuta musodzi iyi. Because mukazoti ukaari kuchema motaura futi zvinhu zvisinga, because vamwe vanoti unoshaura kuti woti chii kumunhu. Munhu unomuudza kuti dambudziko ratasangana naro kwauri is number one dambudziko, kuna kuti zvakamboitika zvakaitika kakwaningi ko zvinini uyu. Ende manzwira atinoita zvino anosiyana. Dambudziko rawasangana naro mwanangu idambudziko tatoriona kana nesu, ndokusaka tatouya pano. Wanga uchida kuti tingadii kuti tigone kuti tihafure nokuti vanoti dambudziko ragoveranwa rinenge ratapudzika. Makutotanga kutaura nemunhu. Fortunate enough zviri kutaura naProphet. Isusu kuchechi kwangu, I don't want to mention the church. Kuchechi kwangu tinetoti health commission. Kwandiri iye zvinezvi. I'm a retired nurse. Tinofamba tichiona vanhu vanenge vanzi havasi kuuya, vari kurwara. Tichinoona kuti vari kunzwei kudzimba kwave ikoko. Then ndonoudza manje pastor kuti tina amai ningi, tina baba ningi vari kurwara. Ndaendako zvakamira zvakadai medically. Then the spiritual person comes with his prayers or with what he wants to do or help yekuendesa kuchipatara. Izvozvo zvokuti tinogara muchechi ka tova vanhu vanongori muchechi isina kunzwanana soka zviri kuuraya even kunamata kwacho. Ende rimwe zvataura naProphet, vanhu ngatidzidzei kunamata. Ndo zviri kutisvitsa pakuzota marepu kesi ari kutaurwa ekuti unofunga kuti mumwe munhu ka ndiye ari pana Mwari kupfuura iwewe. Vanondibatsira ava neproblem yangu, ivo ndinogona kuvabatsirawo neproblem yavo, tonamata pamwe chete handiri. But to say kuti iwo haufaniri kunamata, it's wrong. Ngatidzidzise vana vedu kuti Mwari anoda kunamatwa newe, nokuti kana ndikada kukunamatira iwe, iwe uchiswera mumasinzo usiri kukwanisa kuregera, kunenge chingabatsira? Hapana. Saka isusu tiri kuti kuchema munhu afa ari kufanira kuchemwa zvinobatsira, whether inhombo yabva, nokuti vaibva vati ukachema hauzozvara. Inini handina kuzvibata sechokwadi because vanhu vandaidhira navo kuchipatara for the 40 years vakazongozvara vana after vachema. Saka zvimwe zvinhu zvaiwo zvinhu zvataitaurawo tichifunga kuti ndo kunyaradza kwacho, apo tisingatozivi tiri kukuvadza munhu mukati. Saka ndingangoti chikuru ndichokuti ngatidyare rudo mumhuri dzedu. Ende kunamata kana tanamata kweko chokwadi kwete ndonzi amai mukuru kuchechi, but kana ndauya kunokumba uko nditori handisisira amai mukuru, ndaamai disaster. I don't know ndovashedza sei vanhu vasingavake mhuri yacho. Ngatinamate kunamata kunoreva chokwadi.
Wow. Thank you so much. Wow, this has been amazing. Doc, are you still there? Doc, can you close for us with a word of prayer? Unmute your mic and close with a word of prayer, Doc.
Thank you. Pardon me. Instead of praying, I'll leave you with verses. That has been helping me cope with my loss. Revelation 1 verse 18 says, God who died and resurrected is the one with keys of death and Hades. Mwari ndo vanouraya, ndo vanoraramisa. Zvakakosha izvozvo kuti tizvibate vasikana. Mwari vava Acts 17 kubva pa22 kusvika painonoperera inotirayira kuti Mwari akasika vanhu vese kubva kumunhu 1. Mwari ndo vanosika. Vakatipa miganhu yekugara Mwari yavakagutsikana nayo, physical habitation. So Mwari ivavo vanoita zvavanoda nesu. Romans 9 yobva yati Mwari vanogona kuchuza kuda mwana ari mudumbu kana kumuvenga ari imomo. Kune kusarurama here kuna Mwari? Bhaibheri robva rati God forbid. Mwari vanoziva the end before the beginning. Mwari ivavo vanoita zvavanoda nesu. Ngativabvumirei kuita zvavanoda nesu ivo Mwari. Tinobatsirika. Madzimai ngatinyoresei nhumbu dzisati dzabata. Tonotaura ma-experiences edu, tonowana ma-screening, because some of the miscarriages and losses are preventable. Thank you very much.
Saka nhumbu inogona kunyoresa isati yabata.
Inonzi preconception visit.
Hanzi inonzi preconception visit. Na doc.
Wow.
Okay. Saka doc ndikuya kuzonyoresa.
Thank you very much.
Preconception. I think my husband is hearing it. We are coming for the preconception visit. Ndapafarira ipapo. Wow, thank you so much. I know there are still a lot of comments, but next week we are going to have a testimonial segments, episodes. So we're going to share more of this, where we're going to have the ladies themselves, because this is the hidden faces of grief. So we want to see those faces. You know, I was loving it when they were introducing themselves on the group. Some are architects, some are, you know, sometimes when you think of your miscarriage, you really think this is a person, you know, because this is an architect. Maybe Munu, you are his client or a client. You understand? So these are people with faces. So next week, they'll be here, the ladies sharing their testimonials and also encouraging other ladies there, because some now have their own rainbow babies, so they'll be coming with their testimonies. So once again, allow me to thank my father and the Lord, Prophet Godwin Mahlahla Gokuveya, my sister Florence JK, and the good doctor, our gyna, Dr. Jemnetze. This is not the last time you see her here. She was going to come again and speak to us. So thank you so much, viewers and listeners. This has been wonderful. To the team behind the scenes, the Zim Daily, our partners, the Phenomenal Woman Roundtable family, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's meet again next week, same time. Thank you, and we are out.
Fire,
Powerful.
fire.